to get a little more clarity on what exactly the Senate and how the Senate reached this conclusion, we have with us, joining us from our Abuja studios, the Chairman Senate Committee on Aviation, Senator Buhari Abdulfatai. Good morning, distinguished Senator. If you can hear, I'm sincerely hoping that you can hear us straight away. But this is what we are now saying. Some people are saying, in the first instance, why did the Senate get interested in this matter? And can we trust the Senate to be apolitical while it is reviewing the report of the NSIB?
Well, thank you very much, Madam. Good morning, and thanks for having me. On the 13th of July, there was an incident at Port Harcourt Airport, and incident of runway overshooting the runway is an incident that occurs almost on a daily basis everywhere in the world. It's not a new thing. So when you see it, you may likely the first thing that comes to your mind, oh, one of those things. But unfortunately, 2 days later, bam, there was a report, an accusation that the captain, the co-pilot, and another members of the crew were on drugs. That attraction came to mind. So we pick it up at the committee level, and we have some petition from the public too, that yes, it is true that some of these people were on drugs. So at the committee level, we decided that, look, prevention is better than cure. Let's seek to find out that if this incident is true or not. And then we now seek the leave of the Senate. Fortunately, it was granted by the senator that we should call and find out what really happened. Yesterday, we rolled out the investigative hearing where all the gladiators in the aviation industry were there. The AOL, that's the owner of the aircraft, were there, all the agency, FAN, NCAA, NSIB, NAMED, including the PAMSEC, who represented the minister. And we have some of the former DGs of all the parastatal too that were there. So we decided that, look, let's go straight to the point. NSIB, what happened? The DG came on board. He retreated his report that this is what happened, this is what happened, this is what happened. What? The DGNC, what happened? He told us what really happened their own side. We call the chairman of United Airline. He said it in their own side, and then the chairman of Air Peace that was involved on that particular incident came up. So our take, 5 things came up yesterday that is guiding the committee. Number one, it was true that there was an incident, but the investigation conducted on the pilots or on the crew, were they right? Who did it? What happened? Was it true? We find out that, look, the pilot that was involved wrote us a petition that it's not true, that it was not on drug. The co-pilot, same thing, and then the crew. But we didn't base it on that alone. We went further to NCAA. When it happened, what did you do? They also said they did their own immediate investigation to check the report of the NSIB. But when they checked, there was nothing like that. So how do you handle this? And then the chairman of Air Peace himself, when he came on board, he said, look, there was nothing like that. However, even to take precautions, they decided that, look, for a thorough investigation to be done, they suspended the people that were involved. And NCAA too suspended their license immediately the incident happened, which is the normal practice all over the world. But an amazing thing happened. Apart from the drug issue, there was an argument in the cockpit. The argument was that when the pilot was about to land and the co-pilot realized that at the rate they are coming, he now told the pilot that go around, go around, go around. The pilot refused. One of the reasons we found out was that the difference between the pilot and the co-pilot, the gap was much. Over 10,000 miles experience, and the co-pilot was less than about 1,100 miles experience. So maybe the guy ego came into it. How can you be controlling me? Something like that. All this we were able to find out yesterday. However, there's one thing that was missing. It was only the airline that claimed that they always do what is called random checking of their pilots and their crew before flying. Are you following me? When the airline now claim that, then the question comes in that who cross-check the airline? Who cross-check the airline that, look, they are doing, is there any random checking? We find out that the random checking is not all that constant. The gap is a bit much. So yesterday we were able to say, look, at least you can do your random checking maybe once in a month instead of once in 3 months, so that you can really find out the airline that are not doing the needful or that are not doing the right thing. Some of the things came up yesterday that we were happy, but the good news is that from the preliminary investigation that the NSIB said that the pilots were on drug, the good news is what we find out that probably it was an human error. It wasn't a drug. Maybe the speed was much or miscalculation. And if you notice, in all over the world, most of the crashes of the aircraft is human error. More than 90% are always human error. So overshooting the runway may be human error, not necessarily on drugs. I'm not preempting the final report of the NSIB, but from what we gather from the airline, NCAA, and some of the public that we interview, somebody like Dr. Dimori. Dimori has been NCAA director for over 30 years before he retired. They were all there yesterday and threw light into the investigation, and we were able to come to that conclusion that it's too early because we need to build confidence in Nigeria when you are flying. Even yesterday, when one of the pilots was trying to explain to us the situation in the air, he said it's safer in the air. I said, to you because it's your job. It's not safer in the air for those of us who are carpenter. From that takeoff to landing, yourself, you put me on ground, that's the little I know that, thank God, I've landed safely. So these are some of the few things that, which is the essence we're able to pick from the investigation, and then we'll try and get our reports ready to the Senate for further deliberation. And those are the 5 things I told you that we're able to gather that, apart from drug. So there are some certain quarrel or argument, even in the cockpit. In part of the report, one of the few things I believe we will put there is that whenever you are putting a pilot and a co-pilot, you should make sure that probably they may not be on the same level, but let the pilot not be all that inferior or so low to the captain, so that maybe when he's giving his own opinion about some incident, they can listen to each other. Like it was so funny when the co-pilot was saying that he told the pilot that go around 3 times, and the pilot refused. And we now find out that the gap between them was so much that we look at him that those are the things that happened yesterday.
So, I mean, it's interesting that, the Senate has gotten involved in this and is, having to investigate this, conduct its own investigative hearing based on the preliminary report of the NSIB. And the NSIB's report, as we know, is usually supposed to be just investigative. It is not punitive. It's not supposed to, I think, if there's going to be anything punitive, that would lie in the hands of the NCAA, etc. But the report of the NSIB is just to ascertain what happened. And a number of people who might have attended your committee session yesterday would wonder if, at the end of the day, were you trying to put down the NSIB? Because here's what I can see is, to go with some of what you said, you say you can see that, unfortunately, most of those allegations were not true. The report was disjointed and not coordinated. You don't accuse people wrongly, especially in aviation, where ICAO and other international laboratories are monitoring us closely. Were those your words?
Yeah, that's true. I said it.
Do you think
I said it just because, you see, when there's an incident like that, we are talking of safety. First and foremost, the means of traveling as of today in Nigeria that is safer for us is air. And then when you now decide to scare people that the pilots and then the crew are always on marijuana or drugs or anything, it's scary.
Was that what
It's
the NSIB report
and
said,
then
distinguished
you
senator?
said something, and then you said something that the preliminary report, when you are investigating it, you don't need to release it first until you finish your report. And then immediately that was done, either they were right or not, NCAA did the right thing. They seized the passport of all the 3 crew that were involved. That is, which is fair enough. So the reason why we say that is that immediately after that your report, and there should be second opinion that will tell us that yes, we agree with this, and those are things that should be done within 2-3 days. After the first one, the second one, the third one. So these are the way to do it thoroughly, that people will have confidence. And you said something that the punitive measure, NCAA can punish, and that's the reason why, even based on preliminary report, they seize the passport and the license of the 3 people that were involved.
Ayo, please go ahead.
Senator, are you, and there's a question that Malkwe asked, but which was veiled by other things, are you, or rather, is the Senate invalidating the preliminary report of the NSIB?
No, we just told them that yesterday, luckily the DG was there, and he said this preliminary report. And we now ask him, how long will it take you before the original report will come out? He said at time 1 year, at time 6 months. We then said no, we can't wait till 1 year or 6 months. Already 3 months is gone. We want you to get the remaining 1 month, probably by the end of the year, by the end of the month, so that we get the full report, so that we can submit our own report, because we're only giving 4 weeks. And then if we are waiting for you to the end of the year, which means we'll be asking the Senate for additional one week.
Distinguished Senator,
nobody is saying, I'm not a doctor,
apologies,
but we are not saying that when you are doing this type of investigation,
Senator,
you have to be thorough. I would have loved one thing, personally, this is my own personal opinion. When the report was coming out, and you will have attached a report of the doctor and then the hospital where they conducted the test. It's always very important, so that it will help us, so that nobody will see that anybody is witch hunting or you are accusing somebody.
I assume that the NSIB has protocols. My apologies. I assume that the NSIB has protocols that are global standard protocols, ICAO certified protocols, one of which is to have a preliminary report, and this is not the first time we are having this. I guess perhaps that the reason for a preliminary report is to further investigation, while the comprehensive report will come up later. That doesn't stop the Senate from doing its job. But some of the issues that were raised, you know, in that preliminary report, I asked about whether or not the Senate is invalidating it, because there are specific statements. For instance, the toxicological examinations indicted 2 people. Preliminary findings also made some things. I'm wondering if these were part of the things that the Senate committee considered in holding its position, because it would seem like there was some kind of agenda when you indict NSIB and you give a pass to the airline. There are other airlines that may have issues that they're not going to come up with. So exactly what is the position of the NSIB report, particularly those ones that seem compromising, so to speak, of the airline and things that need to be done. It is not punitive as Mark mentioned. It is for safety reasons. So that's why I asked the question whether or not the Senate was invalidating the position of the NSIB and the toxicological and preliminary findings that they made.
Look at the page where you were reading 3.3. The 3 allegations that were there, we raised it up yesterday. However, when you look at the doctor's report, it indicted only 2: the captain and the crew. He exonerated the co-pilot. And in another situation, and another report, the 3 of them were indicted. So we have to call even the commissioner of police at the airport and the doctor who did the first test, and then NCA, their own result, cleared the 3 of them. Clear the 3 of them. In such a situation, all what you need to do is for us to ask NSIB, look, this is your report. We are not satisfied with it for now. Go and finish your thorough finding.
So, distinguish, just a moment. I mean,
and be specific on the type of drugs they were in, because they said the crew was marijuana.
Just a moment now. Just a moment, distinguished. As my colleague did mention, there are protocols in terms of how they conduct their investigation. The toxicology and human performance, it's talked about, it is normal for them that after such an incident happens, they will take them and go and test, were they under the influence of anything. And that's normal. So they did that, and they found out that the first captain and first officer positive for ethyl glucuronide, that's ETG, which is an alcohol metabolite. Now, from what we understand and from what medical personnel say, that alcohol can still be in your system up to 2 days after it has been consumed. 48 hours after it has been consumed. It doesn't mean that people were still drunk or they were drunk. If you had a bit of alcohol 2 days prior, if you did a test 2 days after, it will still reflect in your urine. Captain also positive for nicotine, perhaps he smokes. Cabin crew member positive for cannabis, that's THC. So these are just statements that they have made based on an investigation that they conducted. But I'm a little concerned about the final finding of the Senate. When you talk about how, these airlines are our own, we need to protect them. I'm looking at what you actually said here. It says, you said, Air Peace and United Nigeria Airlines are our own. We need to support them, not damage their reputation with unverified claims. The most important thing is that no lives were lost and the aircraft was not damaged. It was towed and later flown back safely to Lagos. What exactly does this mean in light of the NSIB just doing its own job?
Like I said earlier on, you read the 3.3 of the report of the NSIB, and I said there is another report. The people that gave you that report should have bring that one too. The doctor's report and the NCAA report. That was why we used the word disjointed. Because if you are releasing a preliminary report to us, no problem. They should be clean. They should be straight. Our problem at that time was that, look, one of the reports cleared the co-pilot. Another report indicted the 3 of them. And even the Air Peace, their own investigation, say every morning or randomly, they always check their pilot. And there's nothing on that pilot that particular day. Even after the NSIB report, they took them to their own hospital for their own doctors to check them. They didn't find it out. So we need to be firm because of our citizens that, look, the confidence we have is that so far, so good, that particular incident happened. Overshooting runway happened every time, which is one of the reasons why we asked that, let's find out, was there any negligence on the part of the airline, or on the part of the pilot, or on the part of any of the agency? Have they done the thorough thing before on the investigation? It's very, very germane, it's very important. And then the comment they said I made was that, look, we need to be thorough. We have our own airline, that is Air Peace, United, Value Jet, all of them are local airlines. We need to encourage them. That doesn't mean that you should close our eye not to do what you ought to do because of the country. But we shouldn't start, if you are saying somebody is on marijuana, or it's a very serious issue, and then the person is able to prove it's not on marijuana or it's not on drug. How do you handle that? And then the report you people gave us were really disjointed.
Oh, just a moment, distinguished, just a moment. I was just going to ask, you've asked for you're asking for the final report. What do you intend to do with it when the final report comes out? Since you've already cleared this airline to say, look, we're not satisfied with the report of the NSIB, and this is just the preliminary report. What do you hope to do with the final report when it comes out?
In everywhere in the world, when there are preliminary report, that doesn't mean that you tell the other person that is guilty. No, you can tell him for now. What we have found out that we did not see any issue on this. But if the final report comes back, and then they were able to prove it that this is that, I call speculation 3718 rule shows that you must prove from the final. It's just like police arresting you now, and then you are now on bail. They say, oh, you can go home, and then when you reach court, that doesn't mean that they won't look at the fact of the case again. That doesn't mean that they won't look at the fact of the case again. So let's wait for them. Just in 2-3 weeks that their final report will come out, and then we'll be able to see with all what we have gathered yesterday, and that may assist and that may help. So it's not about me. Even the Senate, when you are presenting the report, other people will contribute their own idea. They will contribute their own opinion based on that report. And then about 35 senators were there yesterday. Every one of them will see the final report when we are writing our report. And our report will not be ready until we get the final report of NSIB.
All right. Distinguished.
But as of now, in fairness, we have not seen anything that we should indict the airline about that. No.
All right, distinguished. Certainly we'll catch up with you because you have also said that your final report will not be ready until the final report of the NSIB is ready.
The NSIB, exactly.
Yes, so we'll be looking at both reports when they eventually come out. We have to thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us, especially on the one-day investigative hearing that you have done. We have to thank you so much. Senator Buhari Abdulfatai is the Chairman, Senate Committee on Aviation.